In today's video, we are going to be exploring the wild and weird side of sex injuries. What exactly counts as a sex injury? Basically, it's an injury that is sustained during any kind of sexual activity. So most of the time, these can be minor and easily treated, but sometimes they can be a little bit serious. If you stay tuned till later on in this video, I'm going to be going over my top 5 personal sex injuries. Thankfully, none of these have ever led me to the hospital, but definitely had a little blood, a little tearing, a little burning. And if you're wondering who I am, hi, my name's Ali. Welcome to my channel. And this is a platform where we have some casual conversations about sex, relationships, and other fun stuff. Now, I'm coming at you as a sex education student with the Sexual Health Alliance. So I may not be a professional yet, but I'm definitely a professional in my own life and my own experiences. Let's get into it, shall we? What are the most common sex injuries? So after polling my Patreon members, more than half reported experiencing a sex injury. Many of these came up in their answers. So number 1 is friction burns leading to skin irritation. So one of the most common ones is carpet burn. Many of them reported getting carpet burn and not having learned their lesson once. And the other is, of course, not using enough lube. Always use some lube to avoid those skin irritations. So you always want to make sure you have some water-based lubricant next to your bedside or in your bag or wherever you're going to do the deed to avoid some potential skin irritation. Number 2, pulled muscles. Classic case, obvious. I mean, sex can be quite rigorous. So, if you're not flexible and you're not warmed up, be careful. You can pull something pretty easily. Number 3 is bruises and bumps. So love bites and, marks and stuff like that can be cute sometimes, but accidental collisions with furniture or maybe squeezing a little bit too hard, not so much. And number 4, condom mishaps. Classic. Incorrect use of condoms can lead to tears, which can then, of course, spoil the fun and lead to STIs and unwanted pregnancies. Number 5, penile fractures. They are rare, but they happen. And it's quite a nightmare. I mean, not speaking from personal experience, but I can imagine it can be quite a nightmare. So a sudden bend during vigorous activity can cause a painful pop that will require immediate medical attention. And finally, the 6th most reported sex injury, vaginal and anal tears. So the lack of lubrication or brushing things can cause small tears. These usually heal over time, but with patience and preparation, they can definitely be avoided. So how do we avoid sex injuries? I'm going to give you some practical tips. Take what you want from this, but speaking from, my own experience, I am fully aware that sometimes you get caught up in the moment and you don't always have time to think of these prep steps. I mean, I have definitely found myself in the moment enjoying something so much, fully knowing that it was going to lead to some kind of injury or repercussion the next day and that I was going to feel it in some way. But I was like, no, this is just too good. I'm going to keep going. Anyways, like I said, do what you want with this information. But if you want to be safe and have fun and avoid painful injuries, consider the following steps. Number 1, lube is love. Friction is not your friend, okay? Always use a lubricant that suits the activity. If you're gonna have a long sexual session, consider using silicone lube, or if you're gonna be using toys and such, water-based lube is great. Number 2, take it slow. This is not a race, and communication can prevent so many injuries from happening. Number 3, know your limits. Remember this. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. Listen to your body. Number 4, check your equipment. So if you're using toys, make sure they are clean, make sure they are safe, make sure they are used as intended. So no improvising with household objects. And number 5, if you really want to go the extra mile and you have the time, do a little warm up, stretch a little bit, warm up those muscles, because you know what? Flexibility is sexy and it can go a long way in preventing injury. I'll be real here, you might not be able to have a stretch sesh before your sex sesh, but incorporate that into your daily activity. So exercise, stretching, flexibility, and so on, so that your body is fit as fuck, so you can have amazing sex and not get hurt. Or at least try not to get hurt. So as I mentioned before, sometimes you get caught in the moment a little bit. And I can definitely say that some of the injuries that I had, I definitely knew that there would be repercussions the next day, but I was caught in the moment and it was feeling good. So I just went with it. All right, now I'm gonna share with you my top 5 injuries. And please, so I'm not alone, drop in the comments below some of your injuries. Okay, here we go. No judgment, all right? Number 5, classic bruises and bumps on my chest and my arms and wherever else. Back then, I used to like sex a little bit rougher. Now I like it a little bit more soft with a little bit of rough here and there. But back then I was like, hold me, squeeze me, you know? So I would have like bruises on my arms. I would have bruises on my chest, have bruises on my legs, like pretty bad. And sometimes those would be self-inflicted by my teeth or something because I would like bite myself while whatever was happening. Bruises and bumps, you know? Classic sex injury. Number 4, beard burn on my face. Ladies, if you're watching this and you're with a man who got a nice 5 o'clock shadow there, there's a certain time frame between like when he shaves and when the hair starts growing back where it's like just a little bit too thick, a little bit too prickly, and depending what stage it's at, it can really cause some skin irritation around your face. Not just up here, but down there as well. I do remember one particular person, sometimes I would have a little bit of redness around my mouth and also down there, like in between my thighs, around like my vulva and stuff like that, the skin, you know, it's just a little bit of skin irritation. So yeah, be mindful of that. Number 3, the jalapeno burn. Gab and I spent a lot of time in Mexico and we really like spicy food. And I would put jalapenos in pretty much everything and anything until I realized, not even putting 2 and 2 together right away, that sometimes after eating, even many hours after eating, because usually we don't have sex right after eating, but a couple of hours, he would go down on me. And then I would start feeling these little tingling sensations and be like, why is the pussy burning so much? Then I realized that it was from his mouth. So be mindful of that, okay? Don't, you know, eat spicy food and then go down on your partner. Also for yourself, don't eat spicy food or prepare spicy food and then touch yourself, because that also can have an effect on you. Number 2 is torn mole. So this one's kind of gross. I had a mole, like a little small mole on my stomach, and I was having sex with a guy once and he was on top of me and he was like holding my torso, and then all of a sudden he looks down and he's like, what the F? Because there was blood. And then I looked down and the mole had like slightly detached from my body a little bit, like it ripped. And so it was bleeding. Yeah, it was kind of gross, but I was like, it's okay, keep going, whatever, don't pay attention to it. I didn't want to kill the mood. He did keep going, but that was it. It didn't hurt. I washed myself after, I put a little Band-Aid and it reattached itself to my body. I still have that mole. Sorry, that one's kind of gross. But number 1, torn frenulum. So if you don't know what a torn frenulum, well, first of all, the frenulum is that little piece of skin that attaches the bottom of your tongue to the bottom of your mouth. I really like to suck people's tongues, find it like really hot and sexy, especially when you're a makeout session and you say like, stick your tongue out and you just suck on their tongue. I like doing that. But then I met a guy who liked to do that to me, but a little too hard. Like he sucked my tongue off almost. And I didn't realize it at the time until the next day came. And I was like, oh, my mouth feels kind of sore because we were like really heavily making out. And then when I looked in the mirror just to like inspect what was going on, I noticed that freaking piece of skin was ripped. It was pretty gross. I mean, I don't know if it bled or not, but it was ripped, clearly ripped. And I very fondly remember my best friend showing her the next morning what happened, and she almost puked because she thought it was so disgusting. She thought I looked like an alien with like a snake tongue or something. But you know, the mouth heals itself very quickly. So all you need is, you know, warm water and salt, good hygiene, make sure it's all clean and stuff. And in a couple of days, it was perfect. Speaking of sex injury stories, I also asked my Patreon members to contribute some of their stories. And by the way, if you want to contribute to some of this data, I often go on my Patreon to gather data, ask like fun, in-depth questions, and everyone is so great on there, really contributing to whatever conversation we're having, because I really, really love to pick your brains and get your feedback. Just so you know, you can join for free, and if you are interested in contributing a little bit more to support the growth and maintenance of this channel, you can also do that. And I post a lot of exclusive content on there and so on. So if you're interested, you could check it out by clicking on the link below this video. Just know that it helps this channel so much, and I really appreciate it. So they had a few interesting stories that I'm going to share with you today, and some of them are pretty cringeworthy. All right, so my ex grabbed Icy Hot out of the nightstand once instead of lube. That was a burn that didn't seem like it was ever gonna go away. Ouch, Icy Hot. I didn't even know what that was. I had to Google it. And then I realized it was like a muscle relaxer. That is Icy Hot. It's pretty self-explanatory. So yeah, I can't imagine how that must have felt on your penis. All right, I got covered in poison ivy and mosquito bites while having sex in a tree. Ugh. Yeah, you definitely want to be careful when you're having sex outside somewhere and consider that. Again, I know when you're caught up in the moment, it is really hard to sort of think about all those external factors when it is like hotness going on in that moment. But I get it. It's like one of those things where you're like, oh, screw it. I'm going to take advantage of this opportunity and I'm going to pay for it later. All right, this one's really bad though. Okay, you ready? We were both enjoying me giving a lady oral pleasure. When I moved quickly back up to kiss her breasts, my beard caught on her clit piercing. My beard won. Ugh. When I read that one, my heart just like, ugh. I mean, that sounds like a scene out of a movie. I'm sure that's happened many times in real life. I don't know anyone personally that that's happened to except for this soul on my Patreon, but fuck. I don't know what the after effects of that were. I asked, I'm waiting for a reply, but we'll see. We'll see. All right, so if you get a sex injury, when do you go see a doctor? Well, this one's pretty clear. If you got swelling, if you got pus, if you got persistent pain or bleeding, the signs of an infection or a pop, and if you do decide to go, try to take the shame out of it because doctors have seen everything and anything. Thank you so much for tuning into this video. If you learned something or you just enjoyed tuning into people's awkwardness and weird stories, then please consider subscribing to this channel by clicking the like, subscribe, all that kind of stuff down below. And please don't forget to comment if you have a great story to share. That's it, friends. Merci, je vous aime, and I will see you in the next video.